Hello, and welcome to step 1 of the Import Wizard. Importing data files into Mojo is broken into 5 unique steps to make it as easy as possible for our users. Step 1 is to locate and upload your file. Please note that Mojo accepts the following formats only: XLS, XLSX, and CSV. So the first thing we're going to do is click on Choose File. Once you have chosen Choose File, you will navigate to the file on your computer you wish to import. In this case, this is my file. I'm going to go ahead and open it. Once I've successfully uploaded my file, I'll see the name of my file right next to the Choose File button, and I'll choose Next Step. Step 2 of the import process is where you're going to preview your data for accuracy and choose the correct header type to assist you with mapping later on. Once you've previewed your data for accuracy, the next step is to determine the header type. And this is easily done by focusing your attention to the first row of the preview and reviewing the data found in that row to determine whether it's a description header or if it's data. In my case, these are column names to assist me with mapping further on in the import process, so I'm going to choose the option "Is the first line of your file a header?" and then I will choose Next Step. Step 3 of the import process is where we're going to map the fields from the file that we're importing to the associated field inside of the Mojo system. But before we get to that, there are a few key things I want to point out. The first one is the import template area. After you've mapped out and imported your first file, it may be a good idea to save that import as a template in case you're importing the same file type over and over again with the same formatting. This will save you a lot of time and energy the next time you go to import that file. The next option I'll point out is the Check Duplicates option. You have the ability to check your incoming data against data that's already been imported into Mojo and check it for duplicates. And we give you 2 options. You can check for duplicates based on phone number, email, or both. In this case, I'll use the Check Duplicates phone option. Now we'll get on to mapping out the fields. There are 2 types of fields inside of Mojo. There are standard fields, which show up on the contact form. Then there are the miscellaneous fields. These are custom fields that you can create in the settings area of Mojo to map non-standard data to. Examples of this miscellaneous data could be date of birth, spouse name, county, or any other data point that doesn't show up in the standard fields area. By default, we start out by mapping out the standard fields. You'll notice that we have a list of standard fields under the standard fields header, and at the bottom of the page we show that same preview we had in step 2 of your data. Now there's 2 ways to map out this data. You can either do a drop down, which will show you a list of all of the available fields in your file, or you can do a drag and drop, and that's my preferred method, so I'm going to do that here. So I'm going to take the full name field and drag it into the full name area. I'm going to search in my preview for the address field, drag that in the address area, the city field, the state, the zip, and lastly I'll go back and map out the phone, as that's a pretty important field when you're using the Mojo system. Once I've done that, I know that all my standard fields are going to populate, and now if I had miscellaneous fields to map out, I could choose the expand option in the header here, and it would expand out all the miscellaneous fields I've created, and I can map my data out. Once I have all my fields mapped out, I can come back up and choose to either save it as an import template or choose the next button. In step 4 of the import process, we're going to choose a destination for this data file, whether it's a calling list or a group. We're also going to give it a source so you know where the data originated from, and where applicable we can assign a manager. By default, it'll assign the contacts in the import to whomever is doing the import. Okay, so let's begin. You'll notice we don't offer the ability to import into a property calling list. And the reason for that is property calling lists are reserved for vendor posting, such as the Mojo Expired service. Those are dynamic lists that get updated daily. So your options are to import into a calling list or a group. You can choose to import this file into an existing calling list or group, or you can decide to create a new one. And for this demonstration, I'm going to create a new one just so you see how easy it is. So let's say I want to call this list my A leads. I'm going to click Save. Then you'll see that we automatically highlight the new list created. I'm going to give it a source, and I can choose from an existing source or create a new one. And I'm going to create a new one called Demo Video. And I'm going to leave the manager alone, but I can assign it to anybody on the account. And I'm just going to choose Next. The fifth and final step of the import wizard is where we can see how the selections we've made during the other import steps are affecting our final output. On the left-hand side of the screen, we have a list of all the fields that we've mapped out. The left side fields are from our data file, and the right side fields are the corresponding fields they'll enter when they go into Mojo. On the right-hand side of the screen at the top, you'll see a header for import stats. Import stats show the various filters that have happened during the steps of the import process. For example, we have our duplicate contacts. So in the file that I'm importing, I use phone as a basis to track duplicates, and Mojo found 5 duplicates. So 5 records that are in my file that are already in my database. Next down, we have our phones on DNC. So 2 records in my file matched my internal DNC list inside of Mojo, and those won't be imported. And then lastly, we have a true output number of how many records are going to be imported once I press the Finish Import button. Beneath that, we've got our duplicate options, and this is the control for how we want to handle the duplicates found in the import stats area. Again, my file has 5 duplicates that are already inside my Mojo database. So I need to decide how I want to handle those. Do I want to keep the old records that are already in the database and ignore the new ones? Do I want to keep the new records and remove the old ones? Or do I want to allow duplicates and import both the new and keep the old? Once I've made those decisions, I simply click on Finish Import. Once my import is finished, it brings me back to the data dialer screen. The list I've just imported into is highlighted, and I can see that all my data has been imported into Mojo. That'll wrap up this video series on the import wizard. Make it a great day.